functional area presentation on orientation programs. The phrases first year experience, freshman week, and first year seminar, and so on, all lay within what we know today to be orientation programs. Historically, colleges did not offer much support to new students beyond entrance exams, catalogs, and registration assistance. There were no programs offered to help students transition into their first year environments. One organization took it upon themselves to welcome new students. The YMCA in the late 1870s used orientation activities. What they began in 1878 would be a precursor to orientation programs. They provided incoming freshmen with logistical and academic information, housing and employment opportunities, introduction to faculty and upperclassmen, and eventually student leadership programs as part of their orientation repertoire. John R. Mott, in 1889, served as the first college secretary of the YMCA. Using the YMCA's orientation services, he started and publicized the Fall Campaign, which was used to greet and help to settle the incoming students. The official first-year orientation seminar was started by Reed College in 1911, and it was a credit-bearing first-year orientation seminar. In 1923, the president of the University of Maine, Dr. Clarence Little, implemented a week-long event known as Freshman Week. Its purpose was to help transition students into college and allow faculty and staff to assess incoming students. The concept spread to dozens of other institutions, but even before President Little began his orientation program, the YMCA at the University of Maine was already engaged in a set of service and activities designed to accomplish many of the non-academic socialization goals, and had already been providing an orientation service for 40 years prior to Little's innovation. By 1926, dozens of colleges and universities emulated Reed College and the University of Maine. In 1926, the YMCA also pioneered what they called Freshman Camp. The first freshman camps coincided with some of the earliest administratively sponsored orientation programs. On some campuses, the camp served as the institution's freshman orientation, while elsewhere they supplemented the official institutional program. By the late 1930s, 9 out of 10 freshmen in American universities were required to take some form of orientation. After World War II and the GI Bill in 1944, students from diverse socioeconomic and ethnic backgrounds entered college, especially after the war, in unprecedented numbers. Many new students began their collegiate life without benefit of familial socialization and the traditional education coaching from private preparatory schools, which had long supplied certain institutions. This highlighted the obvious need to supply the new diverse student population with an onboarding experience in orientation. In the 1960s, social, racial, and political factors of the era brought the tensions to a boiling point. Many students were activists and began protests on campus. Protests became violent, and at some universities, such as Kent State and South Carolina State College, they resulted in student deaths. In 1972, the University of South Carolina implemented the first-year seminar named University 101 to curb student unrest. The then president of the university, Thomas Jones, described University 101 as a teaching opportunity to teach students not to riot. Similar opposition was met, as it lacked structure and was missing any credible evaluation results that could convince the administration of its educational value. John N. Gardner was hired in the University 101 course director. He began to work on the structure and content of the course and believed that it could be used to boost student enrollment. After data was collected and research was completed, it illustrated that students who took the course were better informed about the university, made more frequent use of the university's resources and services, and had participated in extra activities to a greater extent than non-participants. By the 1980s, colleges and universities saw enrollment decreases. They were on the hunt for proven retention-enhancing programs, and once found, were quickly put to use. Thus, the first-year seminar was one of the most frequently copied retention-enhancing initiatives. Furthermore, changes in the federal financial aid funding policies that made retaining the student of greater and greater significance, and the increasing public attention to the quality of education help to fuel the interest in improving the first-year experience. Retention and completion has led the way to being the single greatest motivator for U.S. institutions to adopt the first-year student success efforts. Currently, new student orientation programs are offered at 96% of post-secondary institutions within the United States. These programs are in place to provide first-year students with an introduction to the academic and social aspects that an institution has to offer. Orientation programs include time for an explanation of the curriculum, course placement testing and registration, an overview of campus resources and services, and opportunities to meet with staff, faculty, and students. Another form of orientation programs that are currently being offered at institutions are parent and family programs. These programs provide students and families with resources and information about their student's institution. The information that is provided is designed to give parents and family members the supports they need in order to support their student to succeed at university. Universities in the United States use these programs to devote some attention to changing roles and relationships between parents and students and what these roles mean for a successful transition to university. Similar to orientation programs, institutions also offer summer bridge programs. These bridge programs are in place to help students transition from high school to college. Typically, summer bridge programs are targeted at students who have a high risk of not succeeding. These students include racial minorities, female choosing to study in a male-dominated programs, and students who come from low-income families. Bridge programs have a somewhat different goal than your typical orientation program. Components of bridge programs focus on experiences of residential living, time management and study skills, academic and career planning, networking advice, and familiarity with campus resources. Another program that is presently offered to incoming first-year students is the Summer Reading Program. Summer reading programs provide students with a book to read the summer before attending their university. The purpose for the Summer Reading Program is to strengthen the student's academic experience and to help them with success during their first year. With institutions' commitment to students' overall development and success for evolving, orientation programs have evolved as well. There has been a greater need for institutions to connect their orientation program to the institution through more personalized methods. This process looks different depending on the goals and mission of the institution. For example, institutions who place a high level of importance on community involvement may include various ways for students to get involved in the surrounding community during orientation, while institutions with primarily academic-oriented goals may design orientation to teach students how to be most successful academically. This model may also involve creating the orientation as part of their curriculum. This development of curriculum should respond to the questions listed above. Some institutions are moving to a first-year orientation course to help ease the transition, address the unique needs of the incoming class, and provide extended orientation experience through a small group. The process of determining objectives and goals of orientation is ongoing and requires a commitment to assessment. The field of higher education continues to move towards a more theory-based model of program development, and orientation is no exception. Orientation programs should include an assessment and component with identified measurable objectives. Assessments on orientation programs can be done in a number of ways, but gathering statistics on retention and freshman success, as well as surveying students who've gone through orientation, are common methods. It is critical that institutions not only perform these assessments, but they also use their results to continue to work to improve their orientation model. These assessments will continue to grow in importance as the student population continues to evolve. Higher education is seeing an increase in the number of non-traditional students. This has led to more research into understanding the unique needs of these populations, but the new information must also be applied to program development such as orientation. For example, students returning to school after many years off may need additional information about on-campus resources, whereas students with children may have need to help with the flexibility of schedule and time management skills highlighted in orientation. As one of the goals of orientation for many institutions is to help students feel connected to campus, it is important that they take into consideration the different populations of students. In addition to unique student populations, institutions are faced with developing orientations for new program formats. Some programs may require orientations to address unique components of the curriculum or program requirements. Hybrid programs that are a combination of on-campus and distance learning must decide whether an online or in-person orientation is best to address both the institution and students' needs. Other programs, such as the Colorado State University SAHI program, are offered 100% online and are tasked with creating an online orientation which connects the students to the institution and provides the information necessary to be successful. With the continual advancements in technology, these online programs have a multitude of options for orientation delivery. These options should be heavily considered as best methods are used to address certain goals or reach certain populations. Some institutions design orientation using a number of methods, and even programs that are based 100% on campus have embraced online formats to reach the technology-driven generation. This can include creating videos, live streaming, creating Facebook groups, or even their online community. Emory College, for example, invites students to join their community called the Wasp's Nest immediately after gaining acceptance to start building connections among the incoming class and sharing information with them. This model of connecting with students throughout the process of admission to the first day of classes has continued to grow in popularity as institutions gain better understanding of the importance of the time of transition. When responding to the future challenges involved with orientation programs, institutions must continue to involve the needs of the students. The current needs of the student population include a high importance on the sense of belonging and connection to the campus, as well as the need for face-to-face interactions. With this in mind, many institutions have focused aspects of orientation on highlighting campus traditions and resources and creating more opportunities for the incoming freshmen for in-person interactions. For example, Baylor University offers an orientation camp combo, where incoming freshmen and transfer students are invited to attend an orientation with their family, then continue on to a 4-day camp where cell phones are collected at check-in. With no students having cell phones, there is a high level of importance placed on making friends and building community with those around them. The family orientation is also in line with the more recent focus on addressing not only the student needs, but the students' parents and family members. As you learned earlier, this has been a shift in orientation models as institutions hope to prepare families for that transition and to teach them how they too can support their child's transition. This model will continue to evolve as institutions work to address the various needs presented by families. As institutions continue to evolve their orientation practices, they must remain open to changes and new ideas. Utilizing the results of assessments to make changes and remembering that the needs are constantly changing will help institutions to continue improving their services and programs offered. Staying up to date with new practices will also help institutions evolve to meet these needs. Attending professional conferences can help student affairs professionals learn from other institutions and gain insights on best practices. Continued research will also help institutions respond to future challenges as we continue to learn about what students need, how these needs are best addressed, and what practices are most effective. All of these areas continue to change, so the new research is critical to maintaining the best orientation experience. There are multiple ways in which orientation programs promote student success on college and university campuses. One of the major reasons orientation is integral to student success is it allows students to experience the college environment before or during their main transition to university. Pasquarella describes anticipatory socialization as part of the orientation experience. Orientation allows students the chance to come to anticipate values and norms that they will encounter while in their new setting at college. Orientation is also linked to markers of persistence in students. Students who feel like they made the right choice or fit in at an institution are more likely to persist through academic challenges. Orientation helps students feel welcome both socially and academically. Orientation programs expose students to their peers who are undergoing the same transition as they are and allows them to feel like part of the campus community. Furthermore, Orientations also expose students to academic resources and on-campus clubs and societies that students can get involved with and turn to for help. Students who have strong levels of social and academic integration are shown to have a stronger commitment to their university experience and the goal of graduation. Orientation programs seek to provide both the academic and social integration needed for student success. We are now going to take a look at a case study of an orientation program. Our group chose to examine a Canadian example of an orientation program at Carleton University, which is based in Ottawa, Canada. Currently, the Canadian provincial government of Ontario has issued a policy called the Student Choice Initiative that allows students to opt out of student fees and student levies. These fees impact the ability of student associations and clubs to run. In Canada, there are two streams of orientation programs. One, which is orientations run by administrators in the institution, and two, orientation programs run by student association. The abilities for students to opt out of student association fees jeopardizes many Canadian institution orientation programs. In an interview with Jeremy Brzezowski, Carleton University's Director for Student Affairs and Student Life, he spoke to us about how his hybrid model mitigates this issue of orientation funding. At Carleton University, the Fall Orientation Program is run by the Student Experience Office staff and the Student Association. The Student Experience Office hires 3 students called orientation coordinators to work full-time on the project throughout the summer. One of their main portfolios is engaging community partners and sponsorships for the financial aspect of orientation. The rest of the money for the program comes from the base funding for the department. While the Student Association does make a large contribution, unlike other institutions, they do not contribute financially. The Student Association brings in various student leaders and ensures that there is a commitment to the program from different cultural and student-led groups on campus. The non-reliance on the Student Association fees makes sure that Carleton's orientation program can succeed in a changing political climate and makes it very unique for the Ontario landscape. Outside of the financial differences, Carleton's orientation program is different than a lot of American programs because although it is during the first week of courses, it focuses mainly on pre-arrival rather than the traditional orientation events of American orientation. The week's activities are geared to helping students find a sense of belonging, peer connection, resources, and establishing support networks. We hope that you enjoyed our orientation presentation.